What's up, guys? MikeCoco back here, bringing guys a Tut first impressions. And first off, I sadly want to say goodbye to J Rock. He was our former leader, and he quit the game, and he's probably the one of the most or best contributors to Legion of Heroes and the forums. He's aided a lot of people in formations, hero advice, and general tips in the game, myself included. So it's really sad to see him go. And yeah, we're losing one of the probably the biggest contributors to the Legion of Heroes, at least the global version. And so we all got to pick up from where we left off. We won't have any more of his reviews, but hopefully my first impressions can somewhat remedy that. If I can be even as half uh, as good as he was at giving advice, then it'd be good enough for me personally. So right off with the Tut first impressions, I'm not gonna pronounce his name because it's freaking long and I don't know how to pronounce it. He is a staff user, and as an S5, as expected, he's gonna have like 3k int. So comparing that to like Nos at S4, it's relatively equal, I believe. Okay, actually no, never mind. So that's 500 int difference actually between S4 Nos at rank 3 and S5 rank 3 Tut, and it's higher than Isabella at rank 4. So damage wise, the damage is actually pretty good. His other stats, he's not going to be a tank. He doesn't have a lot of strength or vitality, so he's probably going to sit in your support line. But when we look at his skill, sure, it's a 200 Fury skill, and it does a lot of things, but a lot of these things don't really help. So first off, it does damage in a column. So because he's a staff user, he's going to ignore magic, or rather physical defense. So he's only going to do damage through magic defense, which is generally pretty low. So his damage will be pretty consistent no matter what enemy you're fighting, but it's still going to be lower than someone like an axe user or a bow user who has really high damage but suffers from low damage scaling against high defense mobs. So fighting against high level enemies, staff users work well. He also decreases defense in a column by 60% from what I hear, which is really nice actually. Compared to Sarah's 40% or Janette's 40%, 60% is a bit higher, so it might help you deal a bit more damage. And it also increases your attack for one turn. Now these all seem like a very good set of skills, but it's very unnecessary. Defense debuffs generally aren't even recommended, typically because attack debuffers are better, just to reduce the amount of incoming damage. And his skill only increases his own attack for one turn, unlike Vlad, who I believe buffs his allies in a cross, and I believe it might be 2 turns. I haven't used Vlad in a long time, but I believe his may be a 2-turn attack buff, which is instantly better. Well, it doesn't say, but I believe it might be 2. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's a 2-turn attack buff. And even then, if it's not a 2-turn buff, it's still a cross buff, unlike Tut, who is just a self buff. So really, his skill doesn't really do that much. Like decreasing defense, we have Sarah, we have Janette. Both can do that pretty well. Janette does attack and defense debuff, so it's pretty unnecessary. And self-attack buff is pretty useless considering we have Lasita, who is the successor to Drake, who has a 2-turn stun, a guaranteed 2-turn stun, and she buffs her own attack by 75%. So honestly, Tut is outclassed right now. He doesn't do anything useful that any other heroes don't do already, so really just no point in getting him. So that's my personal opinion. And even worse, he can't be traded unlike other heroes when we have the auction house that comes soon. I don't know how long or when it will come, but when it does come, we can't trade Tut, so you have to fuse him. So pretty much it's kind of a waste. We waste 200 hearts because at auction house you can trade another hero for hearts, I believe. So that's generally the main problem with Tut. Is just that his skill is just not useful enough. His stats are pretty good, I believe, at like 5 stars. Quite spectacular, 3.5k int, but skills stats is just one aspect. His skill is not cutting it, and that is why I do not recommend getting Tut. So that's pretty much my recommendation for Tut. Skip him, wait for the next hero, and we'll see how it goes. And farewell to our contributor and J-Rock. And that's it, guys. Peace.